Good evening, everyone. One of the interesting features of this week's Parsha is that Eliezer, who is the servant of Avram and who is the loyal servant of Avram, and Avram will say, Ben Meshek Beisi, Damesek Eliezer, I trust him with the checkbook. He can do everything. When it comes here to the story of finding for Yitzchak a bride, Rivka, he forces him to take an oath. And swear to me that you will do what I say. I don't trust you. And the Meforshim, and then he re-emphasizes it with explicit instructions. So the Meforshim all point out that the problem here is the human problem, is that Eliezer, so to speak, has skin in the game. He has a vested interest here. He has a daughter. And to him, the most logical shidduch that Avram should make would be that Yitzchak should marry his daughter, because he's Ben Meshek Beisi, Damesek Eliezer. He's the most trusted man in the house. He knows everything. He's Avram's loyal servant. And therefore he has a bias, he has a prejudice. You know, Chazal point out that all human beings have prejudices. We're all biased. And because of that, therefore, everything that we do has to be seen through the prism of that bias. For instance, if a person thinks that he is the greatest person in the world, as many people do, so you have the situation that Haman had. Who in the world can the king imagine to give honor greater than me? And that leads to his downfall. So this prejudice of Eliezer is what Avram is worried about. Because Avram understands that Eliezer has a daughter, and Avram also understands that Eliezer aspires to be his heir, and by being able to marry his daughter to Yitzchak, his ambition will be satisfied. Therefore, Avram emphasizes to him, Lo sikach isho livni mibnos haknani. Part of the oath is that Yitzchak should not marry a Canaanite woman, Eliezer from Canaan. So by making him take this oath, Avram purposely excludes the ability to marry Yitzchak to Eliezer's daughter. But we see Eliezer persists. Because again, that's the nature of people. When one wants something, so then one pursues it to the bitter end. So he says to Avram, Ulai lo sove o isho laleches acharoi. Okay, I agree. I'm not gonna look for a Canaanite woman. I'm going to Nahor, I'm going to Aram, I'm going to your family, I'll find a daughter there, a wife for Yitzchak. But what if she doesn't want to come back? She doesn't want it. What should I do then? So here we have a famous Rashi. Rashi says on the word ulai, aleph lamed yud. So Rashi says aleph lamed yud ksiv. That's the way it's written. So all the Meforshim, not all, but the vast majority of the Meforshim, and the way we teach it in Cheder to our children, is that Aleph Lamed Yud reads Eli. Eli Ksiv. He is, so to speak, hinting Eli to me. If she doesn't want to come back, then you can take my daughter. And therefore, that's why, that's the Pshat in Rashi, Eli Ksiv. It's written Eli. But here there's an original idea of the Gaon of Vilna, that he says it should not be read Eli, it should continue to be read Ulai. And the Gaon points out that in Hebrew, there are no two synonyms. There are no words that mean exactly the same. In English, we're accustomed to it. But in Lashon HaKodesh, there's no such thing. Every word has its own nuance, has its own expression. So the Gaon says there are two words for perhaps or perchance or maybe. One word is ulai and one word is pen. And he says, when one wants the event to occur, then one says ulai. Maybe I'll win the lottery. Ulai. When one does not want the event to occur, then one says pen. Pen yifte levavechem. So pen is a negative maybe, and ulai is a positive maybe. So Rashi is saying here, ulai ksiv. He said, ulai, that's a positive maybe. Maybe she won't want to come back. He wants her not to come back. Because then he thinks that Avram and Yitzchak will be forced to do this shidduch with him. So therefore he said, ulai, maybe she won't come back. You know, like Salavai, she won't come back with me. And that's what Rashi means when he says, Aleph Lamed Yud Ksiv, ulai is written, not pen. Because Eliezer had within him the desire that Rivka should not come back, because he was prejudiced. This idea of the Gaon, it casts a new light how one should look at Tanakh generally and at the Hebrew language particularly. Because one has to see every nuance in the word now. It's not that the words are the same. There's a different connotation every time. And that's always the problem in translations into another language, because it's almost impossible to pick up the nuance of the original language. And therefore, even though the translation may be magnificent, right, the King James Version of the Bible, a masterpiece of English prose, but the nuance isn't there. And the Holy Torah exists with nuances. It isn't only the simple explanation, it's all of the 70 layers that exist in every word of the Torah. So this is a very good example how the Gaon of Vilna interpreted this Rashi to teach us this lesson as to how we should look at it, how we should look at the words of the Torah, the nuances of the Torah, and that would give us a deeper and broader understanding of the Dvar Hashem. Rabbi Chananya ben Akashi Omer, Otza Kodesh Baruch Hu L'Zakos Yisrael, L'Fichol Chir B'Lahem Torah Mitzvos Shenemar, Adonai Chafetz Aman Tzidko Yagdil Torah V'Yadir.